And speaking of that, looks like we got him on the line. Welcome, Martin. How you doing, Martin?
I'm doing fantastic. How you guys doing?
We're doing absolutely fantastic.
Doing awesome. And don't lie to me. You kind of want Miss USA on your show.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
She's just looking girl not to.
Now,
sorry for being late, guys. I was under my dishwasher.
No problem at all. Now, we do have a question that we're trying to figure out at the beginning of the show. How do we pronounce your last name?
Casaus.
Casaus. You were right, Graham.
Oh, okay. Luke Robinson.
How would you guys pronounce it?
So I just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah, well, Luke Robinson's like breed of his own, and it's fine.
Well, it's great to have you on this show, and we're going to have a great interview, I'm sure. Graham, you want to get started with the questions?
Of course. So let's start back from the beginning. Before we get to Luke Robinson and all that controversial topic stuff, I wanted to ask
I got
you
one
what
question
got
before you start.
What was that?
I got one question before you guys start. How are you guys saying my name?
Martin Casaus?
Casaus?
Casaus, is that correct?
Okay. Casaus, okay. Is that the consensus? What about you? What about you?
Casaus, or I couldn't even think.
It's worth a guess.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
All right, so, yeah, as you were saying, Graham?
Yeah, sure. My first question was, I know you were on the weekly wrestling talk show. A friend of mine who hosts that show, Kyle, I know you were on that show last night, and I heard a part of it. I don't want to repeat any questions that you answered last night on that show, so I'll try not to repeat anything, but if I do, I apologize. My first question for you was, what got you into wrestling? What was that moment that got you interested in professional wrestling? And what was that one moment that you knew that you wanted to become a professional wrestler?
Well, two different points. One was where I started to love wrestling, but I never thought, like, oh, this is something people can get into. I thought it was some special club or something, which it actually is. It's not like it's easy to get into it whatsoever. But there was one beatdown. My grandpa used to always watch WCW, and I don't even know who it was. I know it was NWO, but they were beating the living hell out of somebody. And he was making a big comeback, and there was 6 of them that jumped him, and I don't even know who it was. Maybe it was DP or somebody. I'm not sure. But they just beat the hell out of him, and I was so pissed that there was these little, 6 guys beating on this one dude. I was legitimately pissed. I'm like, that's not fair. And that's exactly what they were going for. And I don't remember what the exact moment was. It was NWO beating up somebody. And then from then on, I just started watching the show. Well, the moment I'm like, oh my God, this is something that I'd like to do, is when I first saw a show here with Goldberg started his streak. And who did he start his streak with? Bill DeMott in Salt Lake City, Utah. So, crazy, because that's my hometown, and roundabout, now he was my Tough Enough trainer. That was my first match that I actually remember. I thought it was way cool. I'm like, hey, whoa, maybe I can get closer to this. And then I went to a WWE event years after that. I kept watching the show, and someone handed me a flyer and said, hey, this is the ring. And we were doing this local show, and once I got that flyer, I went nuts, got excited. Once I found it again, I put it on my desk, and I didn't clean my room for 3 months or something like that. But then I went and found it and went to the ring, and the second I saw the ring, I was hooked. I'm like, I'm going to do this. I want to do this. This is what I'm going to do. I was always a fan from when I saw the NWO beatdown, but I wanted to do this the second I saw the ring in person.
And that's kind of cool. It's like you see the ring in person. It's like you know you want to do this. You finally get up close to it, and you realize that this is what you want to do. And I think that, yeah.
Exactly. Like, you see it, and just like watching the movies, that's cool. I wouldn't mind watching Mission Impossible 18, but until you actually, hold a gun or something like that, hey, maybe I want to be a spy when I grow up. So, and that's kind of how I related it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's kind of like, whoa, this isn't just something I'm seeing on television. This is real. It's something I can do.
Exactly. There was that aha moment the second I saw the ring. When I stepped in the ring, the second I wasn't even halfway, I had both feet in. I had one foot in, put my head under the top rope, and then I was hooked before I got my second foot touching the ground.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a totally different feeling being in that ring. Like, just seeing those ropes, those turnbuckles, and just the things that you can do and the memories that you have.
Yeah. Because, like, you've seen all of these great superstars go into this ring, and it's like, now you're in it. It's like, wow.
Exactly. It's all the nostalgia moments. You've seen people, and all it is just a ring with ropes on it, but how many memories are made in that same ring?
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. No. Yeah. Any comments on that, Grim?
Yeah, very interesting experience. A lot of fans get that. As I was saying to Luke, I know this is repetitive, so I'm sorry if I rehash myself, but there's just that one point in every wrestling fan's life that they want to know, that they want to become a professional wrestler. But as I said a couple of weeks ago, it takes that dedication to really go through with it. And obviously, Martin, you possess that quality if you're at that point in your life or in your career right now. So that's what inspires me the most about your career and what you just said, and especially the part about WCW, because NWO, huge faction, I'm a huge fan of that, so I also thought it was a nice touch as well.
You got to go what people like, and it just happens to be exactly what I was first saw. And the sad thing is I don't even remember who they were beating up. All I know is there's this Hogan guy, and I'll be honest, I didn't watch wrestling before that, so I didn't see the whole red and yellow thing with Hulk Hogan. So when he went to red and yellow again, I had no clue what the significance of that was. I always knew him as Hollywood, and I hated Hollywood Hulk Hogan from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Can't blame me there. Not everyone can be a wrestling fan from the 80s. I'm certainly not, because obviously we weren't born yet. But I really understand your point. And, at that point in time, everyone becomes that huge wrestling fan that's just at one moment. And I just find it significant that it was a part of the NWO. It doesn't matter who they were beating up, because I know they beat a lot of people's asses when they're in WCW. But that is hilarious. So, very fun experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that painted on beard is classic.
Yeah. All right. So what else? What's next on the list, Graham?
Oh, the next question I wanted to ask you was how you applied for Tough Enough. I think they send in videos, I think is what I believe you guys did. And I just wanted to get your point of view on how you got selected for Tough Enough and your experience on Tough Enough as a whole last year on WWE Tough Enough, the series.
Well, that's a loaded question there. Just like everybody else, I sent in a video. The weird thing is I was contemplating, I don't know if you guys know or if you remember, but they said, hey, sign up for Tough Enough and this website where you get votes or whatever that was. Mm-hmm. Do you guys remember that? Okay. Well, they had that, and I don't know what it was up to that. But I got hit up on Facebook because I never signed up for any of that. I got hit up on Facebook saying, hey, you're on the WWE radar. They want to make sure you send in your video. I'm like, oh, fantastic. But he hit me up via Facebook, so I thought he was like pulling a prank, or I had no idea who this guy was. So I brushed it off for a couple of days. And then I figured out, I'm like, wait a minute, what if it's not just some dude playing a joke? What if he actually is a WWE Tough Enough producer? So I responded back, and then he was like, yeah, well, et cetera, et cetera. And he's like, I need you to send a video. You're on the radar. So send the video here, et cetera. So I went and sent my video, and then they liked it. I guess I showed some different craziness in my video. And then the interrogation process started. There was probably a million over-the-phone interviews. Every day there was just an interview about, hey, what about your personal life? How'd you grow up? Your parents? What's your future plans, etc. It was just a million interviews over and over again until the final 30 where they sent us down to California and they put us in the prison of a hotel. The hotel was great. It's just when you're in a hotel room and you're not allowed to leave, you start to go crazy because you can't call and tell people exactly why you're there because that ruins your chances. You're not allowed to. So you're sitting in a hotel room excited but nervous. You want to make it. You can't leave the hotel room because they took your key because they don't want you leaving. So So you're sitting there for a week, and it's just they put you through all the rigor of the physical test, the psycho test, like, are you going to hurt yourself? Are you sure you're not going to hurt yourself? Have you ever thought about hurting yourself? I think they asked that question like 1.5 million times on these psychological tests, and I didn't know you can ask the exact same question the exact same way. But really, it was just 1 million tests, 1 million interviews. They stuck us in a hotel room. Finally, we figured out, hey, you're going to be on the cast, and then that's when I went insane.
Yeah. I wonder how long they've been doing that psych question for, with all the new people coming in.
Well, didn't they have like someone in the second season or something go like nuts and like hang on the top of the roof or something of some building? I swear there's some girl, and then like she said she was part of WWE and got backstage somehow a couple times.
I don't know.
That's possible. It's actually kind of funny that you mentioned that, because that kind of ties into that next question that I wanted to ask you. You said that you possibly could have been gone crazy in this hotel room for a week, but it also ties into the concept of the show, Are You Tough Enough? Maybe that was the purpose. I'm not too sure. But as you just said, Ben, that's very interesting. I don't know if they do that just for that show or they do that for every WWE superstar before they get signed. I have no idea. But that's really, really interesting. That's a really, really interesting concept. But, Martin, I wanted to ask you, does that tie into the concept of the show, Are You Tough Enough, or is that just a whole bunch of random stuff?
I guess it could. Honestly, I was exaggerating when it said I was going to go insane. But you sit there in a hotel room, you can't tell anybody why you're there or why you're gone. And all you have is your TV and your computer, which is great. Those got you by. But it really, they didn't want you going around telling people why you were there. They didn't want you pretty much blabbering your mouth off, because then they'll disqualify you. It makes their choice easy. But they're interviewing 30 people, giving people blood tests, psych tests, everything like that. So they're busy doing their thing. They pretty much just want you out of their way. And then if you risk blabbing, you screw things up. So that's, I think, primarily the reason. But I guess you can incorporate it into Are You Tough Enough in the hotel room and by yourself and not go insane. Never thought about it that way, so you opened up my mind a little bit.
Now, were you allowed to talk to any of the other people being interviewed in the hotel, or?
Nope.
Nope.
That was another funny thing is we would just sit there and awkwardly stare at each other because we're not allowed to talk to that person. But he's your competition, and you're sat in there in the hotel room. Like, again, we were sitting there for a week, so for the whole time you come out, you'd be walked by one of the Tough Enough guys, like the producers. You wouldn't be able to say anything to anybody. You can just stare at them awkwardly. You want to know a little bit about them, maybe find an edge, maybe find some friends or whatever. Or you're just, period, you want to interact with somebody because you've been sitting in your hotel room not being able to do anything. But, no, you just sat there and stared awkwardly at each other. And sometimes we'd talk and get a chat with each other and get in trouble. But it was a process. But well worth the benefits.
Now, did you hear of anyone actually getting disqualified because of that?
I talked to some of the guys and they said that some people would go off like when they didn't have the hotel rule, they just gave you the key. And you'd just be in a hotel room with you'd have the key, they'd go off on some other realities. It wasn't Tough Enough. But some other reality shows, where they went off, they'd go and get drunk and nuts and go open their mouth and say, hey, I'm here. And they'd lie and say, I'm on this show. And just open their mouth and make an ass out of themselves being drunk or something to that nature. They just make a scene when no one should know why they're there.
Yeah.
So that was on other shows, not Tough Enough. But that's what I said. Just the reasoning behind it, and it makes sense. No one, obviously, like I didn't know until I got back the whole they secretly leaked 9 people from the cast of Tough Enough, because I guess that was really pertinent information that was being really kept secret. It was hilarious to see the screenshots of us walking out. Did the very first episode, see Steve Austin in the ring, and then I wasn't even in that shot except for 0.2 seconds, and I had some friends that were like, oh, there he is, I knew he was going to be there, he just disappeared. So it was hilarious to come back and see, like, look, there he is, I told you, and it's a screenshot. And, like it was funny to see other people's excitement about it.
Yeah, and that's kind of exciting because like now all of your friends can see what you're doing. Like none of them, I guess none of them knew what you were doing. Now that actually is my next question. What was your friends' reaction when they found out that you had made it?
I have no idea. I wasn't here.
Oh, really?
We weren't allowed to talk to anybody.
Oh, yeah.
We were sent probably a week and a half before shooting, and we weren't allowed to tell people why we were leaving. So I lied my butt off and said I was going to do something for work out in California. And so people were like, all right, that's weird. And then I even had some of my girlfriends over here help me pack some clothes. I'm like, I need this, but I can't have logos on it. So they're like, okay, you can't have logos for your work, and I work at a brokerage firm. So they're like, that's weird. Why would they care about logos? I'm like, they just do. Just trust me. And everyone thought it, and they didn't quite believe me, but they knew I wouldn't budge when they asked me. So everyone, then all of a sudden, some of the people that I didn't help have me pack or weren't like very, very closest friends, I knew I was leaving. I just dropped off the face of the planet. And so they had no idea what was happening until I got back. So it was funny to see people come out of the woodworks when you got back. All of a sudden, I had family I didn't know I had. Yeah, there was all sorts of people that I totally forgot about. Like, oh, yeah, I remember me. We're best friends when back there. I'm like, I think I met you once, I think. Yeah. TV does crazy things to people, man.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you go famous.
I'm all right with it.
Yeah. I mean, everyone wants to be connected to someone famous. Well, what's next, Graham?
Well, the next question that I had for you was leading into the Tough Enough competition. Obviously, towards the end of the competition, you unfortunately got injured. Now, I believe that was an ankle injury, I believe. So, moving forward, what were your reactions towards the injury when you found out? What were your initial reactions when you found out that you were going to have to be eliminated from the show? And what were the other competitors' reactions when they found out? Because I know they show this on television, but they don't give you the full scoop.
Well, the initial... Correct. What they didn't show on TV is there was actually two pops that happened. On TV, they did show the initial pop where it cracked like that, and then they walked out. I walked out. I came back in and did another drill, and then we all sat down and got yelled at for a while. And the whole time I was rubbing my ankle. I'm like, man, something's not right. Something's not right. And then I got back in. I did another drill. Well, I think I did one drill after that, and then I got out and okay, I got to have the doc take a look because something's not right. And actually, the doc came over to me. I didn't want anybody to look at me. I'm like, can you wrap it up? Can you do something to it? So my initial reaction was, can it be fixed so I can get back in? Is it something that I really need to worry about? Because you get hurt during wrestling, stuff happens. But my initial reaction after I figured out we need to have a doc look at it was a lot of swear words. Because you leave practice, that doesn't look good on your resume. And this is a competition. You don't want no bad marks against you when it comes to Elimination Day. And that was the first thing going through my mind was a lot of swear words. And actually, you could see audio on it like, hey, can you tape it up? We'll do something like, yeah, let's just get a doc to look at it. Let's get an x-ray or whatever. And it was fractured. I had to have surgery for it, unfortunately. The crazy thing is they didn't show is everyone was kind of doing their own thing. They're all curious. Everyone was kind of doing their own thing, running practice, because they kept doing practice. They didn't stop practice for me at all, which is fine. I don't want them to. I wanted to still be in there doing it. I did one or two drills after. It's just you could tell, obviously, that I cannot put any weight on that foot. Luckily, they're only like kick-out drills and the very beginning stuff. So Jeremiah is actually the one who came over. He didn't show this at all on TV. Jeremiah came over to me and just started talking like, oh, how's it feel? What does it feel like? I've been busted up a few times. And they didn't show Jeremiah at all do this, but Jeremiah was there. Actually, he probably showed the most concern out of anybody there. asked, hey, how it feels. Yeah, it could be this, could be that. And it was just him and the doctor looking over until they finally said, you need to go to the hospital. But Jeremiah is actually one that they didn't show it on TV, but Jeremiah came over and said, is the one that was most concerned out of anything before I actually went to the hospital.
Yes. Now, if you hadn't been injured, do you think you could have gone all the way and won?
Oh, not 100%. 100%. Because look at my competition. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be a jerk to anybody on there because I respect everybody on there. Christina got injured the next day. AJ was having a bad run that week. So I'm seeing he's going to be at least the bottom 3, if not out that week. Jeremiah, skill level caught up to him in the end. Andy, what did Andy do? Anybody want to tell me anything what Andy did?
Exactly. We were talking about that a couple of weeks ago, and I know if you listen to the podcast that we had with Luke, you could tell that we were not the biggest fans of Andy, and we weren't really supportive of him winning the competition. I mean, it was either you or Luke in the end. That's the way that I would have seen it. You guys are probably the 2 biggest rivals on the show now and then. So, I mean, I think that would have been the best way to play it out instead of Andy, and still to this day, we are still appalled on the fact that he ended up winning the competition. But as you said, just to respect the guy, I don't want to bury the guy, but continue on.
Yeah, I don't want, I give respect to him, and I say congratulations, good job, because it wasn't an easy thing to get there. I don't say, hey, yes, you were the best one there, you deserve to win. No. I don't give him that, and I gave credit to where credit was due. Luke, when it came down to the finale, I do believe it should have been him to win the WWE contract. Now, if you watch his promo with his 100% truths, I call them half truths because when I said when it came to the finale, when it came down to Beavis and Luke, all right, when it came down to Beavis and Butthead, the 2 there, Luke should have won. But it should have been me and Luke on the end, and I have a feeling I know exactly who Stone Cold Steve Austin was going to pick. For hell's sake, Andy won over Luke. I'm much better than Luke, or Andy. I'm better than Luke, too, in the ring. Luke's fantastically in shape. That's great. But I know what I'm doing in the ring. Yeah. So I don't want to take any credit away from Andy. Congratulations, blah, blah, blah. But he didn't do anything. He got silent rage because he cried on national television because he was going to get eliminated. That wasn't rage. That was him freaking out because he was going to get eliminated and he cried.
Yeah.
Am I wrong at all? Because
no,
I don't want to be dissing. He cried.
Exactly.
That's the silent rage. It's him crying. Like, when you take away a toy from a kid in the candy store, go to Toys R Us, you take away the toy, the kid cries. That was him. You have a contract, you take it away from him, he cries. That's fantastic. That's all you did during the show. You're a silent rage gimmick is you crying. So
exactly. We were talking about that a couple of weeks ago on how he hasn't done anything since he won the competition, so that's definitely not a plus, and adding the fact that he ended up getting suspended. So I guess that wasn't the best turnout of things, but hopefully the bottom line is that hopefully we see you guys back in the WWE, you and Luke together, because Andy is not the best fit mold for a WWE superstar, but continue on with what you were saying.
The way I portrayed it, really Matt, I thought was he's going far. Matt was a huge surprise to me. After he was gone, I'm like, I'm taking this. It was going to be me and Luke in the finale, and I was going to be in Florida right now. Period. Not doubting. I've talked to Stone Cold Steve Austin on the phone. I called him. I'm like, dude, so what can I improve on? What can I do? He's like, goddamn, if you didn't break your ankle, you probably would have won the thing. No, he said probably, but he's the man, the executioner, and judge himself. So I'm like, all right, well, there we go. Why am I still sitting here in Utah?
I don't know. Well, Utah's kind of a nice place. I've been there.
Unless you live 20 minutes from BYU, which is where I live.
Nice.
And you're a 20-something-year-old dude who occasionally has a drink. The Galars here in Utah are ridiculous.
Nice.
Anyways, but I gave credit where credit is due. There's a difference between me and Luke. I give credit to where credit's due. Me and Luke don't like each other, period. We didn't like each other at the show. He had his butt buddy Jeremiah. I like Jeremiah.
Mm-hmm.
But me and Luke just don't like each other. I respect him for what he can do. He's in shape, and he's good at what he can do in the ring. I'm better.
Yeah. And I think in your type of business, the wrestling business, I think maybe respect is more important than liking another person, because if you don't have respect for somebody that you're working with, then, I mean, that's just not good for when you guys have a match or team chemistry at all.
Yeah. Like honestly, it's very easy to get backstage heat when you're back there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about respect.
Yeah.
So, either way, there's a difference between me and Luke, and we literally beat the living hell out of each other. That felt good to punch him in the face.
I was just about to ask you that. I was leading into our next question, the feud between you and Luke. Now, I know we talked about this a couple weeks ago. This has been stretched over social media, and now it led to your match, I believe, 2 weeks ago on WrestleMania weekend at UCW, their UCW Zero event, I believe. I think I read that the result was a draw. Can you enlighten us on that? Enlighten us on that?
It's all right. Yeah, I can definitely enlighten you on the situation. UCW Zero is a company here in Salt Lake City, Utah, that I came into. This is what brought me up. So this is our 10-year anniversary show on March 31st. This was basically Utah's WrestleMania. It was main event, me versus Luke Robinson, obviously a match a year in the making of who should have won Tough Enough. And obviously we have our personal differences, and we don't like each other very much. In fact, it got to the point where we just started bickering at each other so much he started bringing in my girlfriend, and it started going high school drama on me. So, all right, whatever. I do what I do in the ring. You can talk as much as you want. I'll do what I do in the ring. That's where I like to do my talking, with my fist and my foot. So and obviously you have a lot of time in your hands. You love to watch yourself on the camera. Talk away. So he sat and cut 1.5 million promos. But yeah, March 31st, we literally we sold out the arena though, 1,500 people. We sold out the arena. People were there to see that match, most definitely, and they went to see a good match. It's definitely a great match. It's just they did not like the result. I'm not happy with the result either. A draw is not what I was looking for. We ended up knocking each other out, basically.
Yeah.
He in one of his promos, he does his flex off with his shirt off. That's all 140 pounds of him. And he does this super kick into the camera, and I give him credit, again, what credit's due. That was one of the last things I remember of the match. But kind of an instinct to the point where if you're on the ground now, you kick out when you hear pounds on it. So we got that. I nailed him with my move when he was yelling, doing something. I just saw his ugly face and decided to kick it. And we just both knocked each other out. We had nothing left, and we were both knocked out cold. He ended up being carried out by his jabroni little friend that he brought from Maine. And I walked out on my own 2 feet, which is fantastic, but it's not the result I was looking for. So we're trying to schedule a rematch, trying to get something together, because I know the fans are happy with the draw. I'm not happy with the draw whatsoever. He's not responding back to any text messages, calls, phone calls from UCW. It's just ridiculous. The fans deserve better. So the fans need to know who was better. And unfortunately, with the draw, that didn't happen.
Yeah. I'm going to call it right now. WrestleMania 33 for the WWE Championship, you versus Luke Robinson. Okay.
But I'm fine with that call, and I will make that call happen. Well, at least I'll be there.
If not, you can always face The Rock. I mean, he could be there. He's not.
Yeah,
he would be as good as an opponent, but who cares?
Exactly. But the crazy thing is independent wrestling show is completely different than Raw. Raw, 1,500 people is nothing. But we sold out the arena with 1,500 people there, and they're there to see that match. So obviously, people want to see who is better between Martin Casaus and Luke Robinson. I don't know if WWE is paying attention, but for hell's sake, we sold out the arena. It's not a WWE arena. But there's as many people as we can fit in there in Salt Lake City, Utah. It's just with fire code ordinances, they just wouldn't allow it anymore. We had to turn people away. So, I don't know.
Well, Graham has John Laurinaitis' number now. Maybe you can text and tell him about the Utah match.
Yeah, maybe you guys can contact the guy and tell him, hey, let's get back, let's make this thing happen.
Yeah.
I think that'd be 10 times more interesting than anything they're doing right now. You versus Luke, WrestleMania 29 for the WWE contract. Book it right now. I say we got to get you guys on television right now. And on another note, you just said about the independent scene and how there were only 1,500 fans there. That doesn't matter one bit because I've been to other independent shows in the Northeast Wrestling area. Independent shows are always better than WWE shows. I can tell you that now, hands down. Not the action per se, but the atmosphere. Because there's a few less people, obviously, in the independent shows, the atmosphere is just so much better because there are 1,500 fans waiting there for their match of the night, and it's just so much better atmosphere than in a WWE show because in a WWE show, there's a lot more people, a huge arena, so there's not a lot of interaction between the fans and the wrestlers. But what you said before, your match with Luke, that must have gotten the fans engaged in the match rather than what it would have been at a WWE ring and whatnot.
Exactly. And the thing about independent wrestling compared to WWE wrestling is after the show, most of the times I've seen independent wrestling, the guys will come out and sign autographs, take pictures, interact. Just like you said, interaction with the fans is completely different in independent wrestling, which is what they should be. I always believe that without fans, there is no wrestling. It's
exactly.
If there's no one watching, it's just wrestling. It's just two guys in spandex rolling around, which is kind of weird sounding, but that's what it is.
It's called TNA.
There we go. But with no fans, there's no wrestling.
Yeah.
So appreciate the people who give you a job.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why anytime, like I've had some awkward, I was just saying this in an interview last night, anytime a fan comes up and says anything to me, you acknowledge and say thank you, sign their autograph if that's what they're asking for. It's granted, sometimes it's in weird situations. Several times I've had people ask me, like, hey, what's up, you're that guy, while I was in the bathroom. At least let me zip it up first, but, like, say hello to the fans. Granted, be a little bit, hey, he's holding his junk and he's still doing his business.
Yeah.
Let him do his thing before you say, hey, you start talking, but hey.
Yeah.
Acknowledge it after.
Yeah. And,
fan or not fan, it's just weird to talk to another dude in the urinals, right?
Oh,
is that just me or that?
Agreed.
That's a violation of the bro code.
What?
It's a violation of the bro code.
Yeah, there's a bro code. Like, you cannot talk to another man while he's holding his junk. Especially, you don't look at him in the eyes. When you talk to somebody, you look somebody in the eyes. And you can't look at another man with his eyes while you're talking to him while you're at the urinals. It's just not right.
How did we even get on this? I mean,
I don't even know what the question was.
I love this podcast. This is awesome.
Yes. So what did you and Martin talk about? Urinals and the bro code and how much he hates Luke. That's about it. That was the whole interview. It was urinals, bro code, and how much he hates Luke. That was the interview.
That's our description.
There we go. There you go. Patent it. Boom. Put it on there.
Nice. Now, if you had won Tough Enough, do you think that you would have gone to FTW first, or would you have been on the big shows?
I'm sorry. Would have gone to FCW?
Yeah.
Everyone is going to go to FCW.
Yeah. Okay.
Everyone's going to go, no matter what. That's just the way they do things. They train you their style. They train you their way. No matter how good you are or who you are or what you've done, everybody's going to go to FCW. So I don't discredit Andy for, hey, you're only at FCW and you're not main eventing WrestleMania. So I don't want to discredit him there at all. I just haven't heard anything about him.
Yeah.
So I just don't know what to think. When my mind wanders, usually bad things happen. So I don't discredit him at all because everyone's going to go there.
Yeah.
Hey, Ariana made her WrestleMania debut this WrestleMania, and she's at FCW.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Now, we are just about out of time, but thank you so much, Martin, for coming on. This podcast is a very fun avenue, talking about how much you hate Luke and other people's junk. And
other people's junk, the bro code, and how much you want Rainbow Fatigue on your show. She's a very interesting individual.
All right.
All right.
That was a perfect imitation. That was awesome.
I shook the head and everything, too, so don't you worry.
Nice. All right, well, thank you so much.
All right, hey, guys, thank you for having me on here. And if any fans out there, keep in touch with me again. I try and get with everybody. Follow me on Twitter at Martin Casaus, Facebook /Tristan Gallo. That's my old wrestling team. Just follow me on Twitter. I'll make sure that things happen. Guys, thank you so much for having me on, all right?